Hey y'all, this is AL Think Madame, and this is the recap review for Tyler Perry's Sistas. So before I get started, let me go ahead and throw some stuff out there and show y'all something. I promised that I was going to show y'all more than likely if I was up to showing y'all. So first of all, my belly out because I'm wearing one of my shirts where it do like this. So if you see some skin, that's what it is. It shouldn't be enough to deter you and make you want to throw up and all of that. But I'm just saying, if you see something, that's what it is. Also, I told y'all that I was thinking about doing something for myself, or that I did do something for myself. And I was debating on whether or not I would show y'all what I did for myself, because the last time I did something nice for myself was when I was in college. I graduated from Alabama State University in 2007. And I think that when I did that for myself, it was like 2004. So it's been quite some time. It's 2022. Um, so this is what I got myself. Right? I don't know if y'all can see it or not, but yeah, I got myself a bag. Y'all, I haven't carried a purse in I don't know how many years. I'm talking about before the pandemic. And I was like, oh, let me get the wallet too. I got one of the wallets that, is a part of this collection. I saw this collection when it dropped. I just was looking at Coach items from afar for years and debating on if I should ever, start my little collection up again, because I did have a few bags. And when I say I had stuff, I really did. I bought the stuff, set it off, did the most back in the day, and people lived for it. It was to the point where when I had those items, somebody saw me carrying them one day. She was somebody who was like upper management, if you will. And at Winn-Dixie, which was one of the jobs that I worked. I was working two jobs. One paid for the tuition when I was working records registration at Alabama State University, and that one was I'm paying for my car insurance, putting gas in my car, paying my phone bill, handing my folks some money because I was commuting from back and forth to the house, to the school, all that, whatever, right? So yeah, them purses was still the same prices that they are now, which is basically $400 once you add the taxes and stuff on them. So back then, considering I was getting paid minimum wage and all of that, yeah. I had two. I had two Coaches. One was a bucket. One was like made like a bucket. I think they call them bucket purses or whatever. And the other one was a tote like that. And it wasn't even made out of the material that this is made out of. And I paid full price for them. And I had a wallet as well that wasn't like leather or none of that. But yeah. And I had some Doonies that I got. I actually bought like smaller like Doonies when I was working for the state of Alabama. And I don't even remember what I did with those, child. I don't know. I had some moments. But they had nothing on the Coaches that I had. But this woman saw me carrying them and she was like, would you consider selling those? I guess because at the time they didn't have them on the website anymore. I don't know what happened. But she wanted them and she gave me money off rip, cash money, and it was a decent price considering I had already been carrying them a lot. I was like, sure. And she, bought them from me. It was what it was. So anyway, I saw the little things they had going on some weeks back, and I was like, should I do this for myself? Because I haven't done anything for myself in quite some time. And that's what I did. So I told y'all before the end of Pride, I was going to show y'all. Specifically because of the colors, because if I could choose my favorite color, it would be the rainbow. It just is what it is. And I don't have any problem with that particular community. A lot of people have problems with them because of the way they were raised or whatever. My thing is, as long as they ain't trying to roll up on you, you shouldn't care. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this recap review. So the episode started out with Sabrina and Danny at the grocery store. Y'all remember last week, these women were following them around the store and Danny was trying to figure out what it was hitting for. So they were like, oh my gosh, we've seen you. You're so beautiful. And this is when this heifer finds out that he's a prince. She didn't know that he was a prince. He obviously didn't want her to know. There are people who change up once they realize you have money and status. And even though Sabrina doesn't seem like that type that would try to act funny or try to be like, ooh, you got money, let me do this and let me do that, he just never felt compelled to really tell her. And in my mind, I'm like, dang, didn't he tell her before? And she was like, yeah, right. But yeah, anyway, she's one of those people who's like me. I'm not moved by your money. I'm already paying my own bills. I'm doing what I need to do for myself. And you know what I'm saying? If you do something because you want to, that will be you doing extra. I didn't tell you to do it. I don't want nobody trying to come into my life trying to run me. I'd rather do what I'm doing for myself, which is sad because I come from a generation where my folks believe in the man doing everything. It is expected for the man to do everything. If you're going to be with this person, you need to pay all the bills. And if she has money coming in, that's just her money. If she want to help, that's up to her. Whatever. So anyway, it just is what it is. So the women wanted to know if they could take a picture with her. Danny took the picture. And she was just like, I didn't know he was a prince. And he's really nice. We're just dating. Like, they really like, oh my gosh, are you going to be the queen? Are you going to be his princess? Excuse me. And she was just like, I'm just dating him. Like, I didn't even know he was a prince. So it was what it was. They are so happy to have seen her over in the States because it's splattered everywhere back home. So she talking to Danny. Danny like, look, I got to get all the tea on this. I need to see what it's hidden for. I need to know all about him. And she was like, I do too. And Danny is surprised that she hasn't Googled him. Sabrina was like, I did Google him, but I didn't see anything about that. And so I'm just like, girl, it is what it is. But they are going to be, y'all know, on their way to go to Andy's. So Sabrina was like, please, let's just keep this between the two of us. I'll tell the girls about it later. I don't want to even talk to them about it yet. So let's not even bring it up. Like, we got other stuff that we got to talk about tonight. Don't nobody have time for this. So Fatima is waiting patiently as best as she can, trying to see if Andy would be able to get her to the back to go and see Zach. She come out and she was like, look, you'll be able to see him in the morning. And so she was like, oh my gosh, I ain't got time for this. I'm just going to wait. This half of time, she was just going to sit there all night and wait to be able to see him, not take no bath, not go home real quick, take a nap and come back an hour before they start allowing people to see people, nothing. And so Andy was like, Heifer, go home, go to sleep, take a shower, all of that. And so she was like, yeah, let me just go. And so she was like, look, he ride for me. So why wouldn't I ride for him? I'm trying to be here for him, whatever. And so she was like, girl, that's fine and all, but you need to do what you need to do. This heifer talking about some illegal resources that she gonna try to get set up so that they can get him out. Cause she was like, girl, Bonnie, what you gonna do? And she was like, what? It's like, girl, Bonnie and Clyde, this heifer they really be doing a lot. And so she was like, look, let me go call Robin and see what he can do because he was able to help me get you out. So she went over to the side, called Robin, and he was like, hello, what's going on here? This is what kills me about Andy. It's obvious that she is here for him and not just because of the sex, right? She has thanked him for all that she's done, but she's trying to figure out, okay, well, what's going on with Zach's situation? Are you able to pull some strings? And he was like, well, I called the judge that I was going to put in a favor to, but they haven't gotten back to me. So that's going to be a little bit harder. And she's going to have to wait until the morning to see him. So, it's a delicate situation. Ain't nothing that can be done today. So he just going to have to stay in there at night. So she was like, okay. But in the midst of the phone call, he looking like, okay, so when am I get to see you though? And she all blushing and like, she like, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, I have some things I got to do tonight. I'm going to tell you about it later. But yeah, I can see you later or whatever. And I'm like, girl, the way that she reacts when she's talking to Robin versus Gary, even though Gary is no longer married, it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. You're supposed to be in a whole professional phone call with this man and you getting all giddy versus when you on the phone with Gary, you constantly in the back of your mind wondering, okay, is he trying me? Is he following me? Am I being set up? He always doing something he ain't supposed to do. Like, you always got to have this in the back of your mind, but you still want to kind of string him along just in case. And I'm like, girl, bye. Like, you had to go through all of this to get this supposed Gary. Girl, bye. I just can't. So anyway, she's going to take Fatima back to the office to get her phone because she's gonna have somebody to bring the phone to her because Hayden is still at the office. So anyway, this particular night, Maurice wants to get out of the house. And so he came to the, place that he normally goes, the little gay bar. And this is a night where I guess it's for any and everybody. I don't know. And so the guy came up to him and was like, you don't normally come in here on this night. And he was like, I know, but I needed to get out of the house. Then let that man know that Q is at his house and he trying to figure out, like, why you got a criminal in your house living there. And so then he said, Calvin, he was like, yeah, I heard my name. What's going on? It's obvious that this fool is tipsy, drunk, some more, and whatever else. And so they explained the situation about him being on house arrest and how he used his address for that. And so it's Calvin's fault because he told him he needed to let him stay and all of that. So they're doing the most. And it gets to a point where Calvin is like, you know what? I am going to leave. And so the bartender was like, you need to give me your keys. And he was like, he ain't got to worry about him. His car was at the house when I left. So I guess he going to call somebody for him so he can get to the house. He doing a lot. Calvin doing the most. I don't understand why people go out in public and get drunk. Like, why would you do that? I just don't understand. I wouldn't want to even be tipsy. Like, and I'm talking about people who really will go beyond their limits and start throwing up and all of that. And then after throwing up, they will throw back some more shots and everything. I'm like, why do people do that? Child, Karen at the house and Aaron is there. Y'all already know how I feel about him. I can't. So they're sitting on the couch and she tearing these pickles down to the ground for somebody who don't live for pickles. But the pregnancy cravings are already kicking in and she barely a month pregnant and child. Anyway, so she's wondering what he doodling over there. He drawing a picture of her. And she was like, what? I didn't know that you could draw. He's doing quite well. If I do say so myself, as someone who has been in the art world. Like, meaning I've done things, people have acknowledged what I've done. I used to draw exceptionally well, but I put all of that stuff away. It is what it is. The most descriptive drawing of a person that I've ever drawn, I've had two that I've done that were exceptionally well, and people were able to pinpoint who it was without me having to say, well, that's who this person is. Usher was in some magazine that came to our house, and I drew a picture of him then, and I drew a picture of Mystical on his, what was it called? I can't even think. Unbreak. I done forgot the name of the CD, but y'all know I'm fool Mystical no more. And I used to know that whole CD from front to back. Like, child, Mystical just, why Mystical? Why? Anyway. I'm talking about down to the bob braids, because y'all know that was not his hair. I was on it when it came to drawing. So anyway, he drew this picture of her, and it's supposed to be a representation of what she would look like older. And he told her to look closer. Once she finally got out of her own head and paid attention, he had written in the lines of everything, and it was like stuff you really were supposed to read. I'm trying to understand if it's one of those drawings where you're drawing, but the words are creating it, because there's so many different ways. When I tell y'all, I wish I was as talented as some of these people. These people be using Oreos to create like very descriptive famous people, and like they be setting it woof. I wish I had the talent that they have, just what they have in their pinky. I wish I had that. Like, I never was that type of artist. I really wish I could do all that stuff. I could do some stuff. I've won some contests before, and not just because I was in elementary or something like that. Like, I'm talking about I was in high school winning contests and stuff. And even the little bit of art that I did in college, I was winning stuff. Like, I'm just saying. So I think that the one that he's doing with her, it's words that looked like the actual person, and that is awesome. So he had her to read the stuff out loud. At first she was like, oh, will you read it to me? He was like, no, you read it. And it was like very beautiful stuff, and talking about even though, the baby was born and created in confusion and all this other stuff. Child, it was a lot of stuff. It made her emotional. Despite the fact that she's pregnant, it was like sweet or whatever. They end up making out. I don't know if we're supposed to infer they started having sex or whatever too, but they did make out. Anyway, moving right along, we end up seeing El Fuego pulling up to Andy's place where he is supposed to do a sweep and see if there are cameras, bugs, anything that's going on in the house. And so he, of course, is like, well, why did you even pick me to come by? So she was like, well, I just want to give you a try, see what's going on. And she was impressed by the little kit that he had, because he had this big kit with all this stuff that is supposed to help him when doing this job. And so she was like, oh, okay. So the way she said it made him feel like, oh, you thought that I was just this big dumb stripper and that's all I had to offer. I just need for you to understand that I'm trying to get this going, and once all of this gets to going, I will be done with the pole. I'll be done with the dancing. I'm not a dummy. So anyway, the girls are on their way up, and so she was like, yeah, the girls are on their way. He was like, oh, okay. And so he started feeling some type of way because y'all know Danny been treating him like a redhead stepchild. And so she had to explain to him that Danny has this way of treating people that she really likes a lot, like pretty much like trash. And so he was like, dang, that's messed up, but it is what it is. So they came up and, Sabrina hugged him because they are all familiar with one another from school and all that. So it's not like he's just some random dude that they saw at a strip club and so now it's awkward. It's not that. So, they talking. She was like, well, maybe you should, go in the bedroom and do all these things. And so she was like, is it safe for us to even talk here? Want to know what they should be able to talk about, because what if Gary is actually listening in? And so Andy was like, no, it's fine. We could talk. So they're talking, wanting to know what's going on as far as Karen is concerned. Karen hadn't checked in all day. Now they're concerned, want to know what's going on, because she normally would have checked in, because Danny was like, look, this heifer that lost her mind. We trying to get her to understand that Zach and Fatima are together. She is like, he gonna be mine. I want him to be mine no matter what you say. And so everybody was like, we've already tried to talk to her about it, so we're going to have to drill it into her head. What can we say? And so they were like, well, what if we tell her about the bad times, remind her of the bad times? Danny going to read Andy and was like, okay, so what about all the stuff we told you about Gary? She was like, this is not about that. Like, you can tell she going to get buckled up about it. I'm like, oh, you're upset because you need to really stop dealing with him. Like, why? What is the reason for you to still have any? I would not answer a phone call from him at this point. Like, sir, you doing the most. Like, don't nobody have time. That wife could have easily thrown her from that bridge. I'm just saying, the absolute most was going on. Like, all my stuff got seized. So much seizure foolishness went down. Girl, but I don't be understanding. Anyway. El Fuego finished the sweep. He said that there was nothing there, and she was shocked. And again, the fact that you were like, wait a minute, what? Like, you were expecting it to be some foolishness popping off. That's another red flag. You should have been done with him. You know that. You already know. So anyway, everybody's trying to figure out what's going on with Karen, because she ain't there. So they like, look, we finna go over there now and see what it's hitting for. Some ain't right. So El Fuego was done, and he was like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead, head out. And Danny was like, let me holler at you for a minute. So she went over next to the elevator and was talking to him and was like, I've had a lot of stuff going on, and I'm sorry for the way that I behaved towards you. Like, she's being really nice. And so she was like, maybe you could take me out to dinner. He was like, no. What you gonna do is make me something to eat and invite me over, and then we can talk. And so she was like, okay, cool, whatever. So them heifers about to go on over and try to see what it's hitting for with Karen. But before they leave, Andy is waiting, and she's gonna go out after everybody else. So she hits up Robin and trying to talk to him. He all excited because he over here fantasizing about the things he gonna do to her or whatever. And so, it is what it is. So, she had to get that situation squared away and was like, well, okay, well, can you come over tonight? And so, of course, he's here for it. He gonna be able to come over later on, since we know that there's nothing there. Robin is in the office with Hayden. So y'all already know how Hayden is. So he over here trying to play him. He don't even know he get played. So he was like, yeah, you need to stay far away from Fatima. Yeah, you heard about what's going on. Robin was like, yeah, man. Oh, wow, that's crazy. What? Dealing with a con, an ex-con. Oh, what? Child, it gets to a point where he over here, trying to get him for information, not knowing that Robin already know what it's hitting for. And so he was like, well, no, you're more my speed. Hayden was like, what you talking about? What you mean? He was like, I'm gay. You could have bought him for a penny when he told that man he was gay. So then, he was like, oh, well, I don't swing that way. And he still is not aware that Robin is very much all the way over this company and all of that. He's just looking at him like, okay, you fly in, you over there in London, we over here. We ain't got nothing really to worry about when it comes to you, whatever. But he don't know what it is yet. And it is what it is. So he was like, well, I guess I'm going to head out. I got a meeting and all this other stuff. Did you see the email? He was like, yeah, I was wondering what that was about. Now, I'm pretty sure that meeting is going to be them, announcing officially that he is going to be over all this stuff, which I don't think anybody outside of Fatima and Andy know about that, because Andy told her, because Robin told Andy. So anyway, he keep on making it seem like he'll get up and leave. He was like, yep, you're still sitting there. He was like, I am, aren't I? He really was playing him. It was so hilarious. But anyway, let's move on. Yeah, he finally get up and leave. So we end up seeing Fatima at the house looking good. Like, Fatima be putting on anything, be looking good. I live for Crystal. Crystal be looking good, y'all. But anyway, she ended up getting a phone call that is obviously from Zach. And so she accepts the phone call because he's calling from jail. And so he was like, I know you're out because I was going to keep calling your phone until you answered. And so, like, he's keeping it light, and she in her feelings, and she was like, look, I'm sorry, it's my fault you're in there and all this other stuff. And so she's really kicking herself. And he's trying to tell her, don't worry about it. I'm going to get out. I got money now. You ain't got to worry about that. I'm going to bail out. I'm going to bond out or whatever. And so she was just like, oh, I hate that a-hole. And he was like, I hate him too, but you're on the phone with me. Like, don't worry about him. Like, she's really in her feelings, which is understandable. And so she was like, look, I ain't got no ring on my finger. Like, we ain't finna do all of this. Because he was like, when I get out of here, we gonna move in together. And so she was like, that's your house. And he was like, that's our house. So that's why she was talking about, ain't no ring on my finger. Like, girl, he gonna put your name on the deed. Like, what is we talking about? Your name probably already on the deed. What is we talking about? So anyway, like, they keep telling each other that they love one another and all these other good things. Like, they are everything. I love them together. So, of course he wanted to know if Andy told her what was going on. And she was like, yeah, even though he didn't want it to be, it just was what it was. She had to come down there and bail her out. What you thought it was finna be? And then if she had got to your phone, eventually you were going to tell, like, somebody, she was going to find out eventually. So anyway, it is what it is. She going to have to come back down there in the morning to see what it's hitting for. And he ended up telling her, tell me what you cook. She was like, I can't even eat right now. He was like, look, I'm in jail. You need to make something up. So she started talking about all the stuff that she made and, just making him feel good. So eventually they get off the phone because the time was running out. Meanwhile, at the house, we at the end of the episode, I think. Yeah. And Calvin that got to the house, he all loud because he drunk, coming in crazy. And he was like, oh, my bad. I'm so sorry. Did I wake you? He was like, nah, I was already awake. So he drunk. He need to be drinking some water. Q done went in the kitchen, got this man a cup of water. They start talking. And so, of course, he starts talking about how Sabrina and everybody think he gay, and he's not. Then he started talking about how they were in the middle of doing some things and grabbed her vibrator and had some questionable things being performed on him or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Even though a lot of people want to try to make it seem like, well, that's gay. I'm like, I'm on the fence about it because, as we've already discussed before, and as all of us should know by now that are of age and who have had sex ed classes or who are just curious and want to know stuff, about, you know, the pleasure zones and all that other stuff. A lot of men, well, all of them, all men have pleasure points and things. Like, you are going to enjoy something happening in your anus, whether you want to believe it or not. It's just up to you to want to do that and not see it as a gay act. Now, I believe that if you have a man going all up and through there with his tool, then all right, now you you're doing too much. You're doing too much in your life. Now, if like certain toys or whatever are involved, whatever, and or the woman is doing something to you, okay, I ain't here for it though. I don't want to put no part of me on a man. I don't want to do that, whether it's my man or not. Now, will it never happen? I ain't gonna say that because you never say never. Because things that have popped off that I thought I would never do and I have stupidly done. So, I mean, it is what it is. Excuse me. But yeah. So, it is what it is. So, Calvin is trying to tell this man, well, you're gay, and all this other stuff. And he was like, I'm not gay. He was like, how you gonna say you ain't gay, you with men? He had to explain to him that he's basically gay for pay. Like, he was like, I do these things with men and women. He was like, well, why don't you just say you're bisexual? He was like, I'm gay for pay. Child, it got to a point where he was like, well, I mean, have you experienced it with a man? He was like, I ain't gay. He was like, well, you don't understand. The feeling is different or whatever. And so we are left to infer that something's about to go down between the two of them. And he even was like, yeah, let me go ahead and get up from here. Like, he could even though he was drunk, he could feel that the energy has shifted. Because he over here talking about testing it out on him. Looking like, what? Like, sir, don't get somewhere and sit down. Anyway, thank y'all for tuning in to this recap review for Tyler Perry Sistas. Give this video a thumbs up. Let's talk about it down in the comment section. Subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. Like, I saw the preview for next time. I have. I've seen it. And I feel like it's going to be a lot. I'm tired of Gary. Like I keep telling you, I'm tired of Gary. I don't like Aaron. And it's, I can't do it. But anyway, y'all be safe out there. I will see y'all later on for something else. Okay, be safe. Bye.